Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It is good to have you with us. I'm Tom Sherry. 3 Montana children were found safe in Idaho earlier this afternoon. The adults who took them are now in custody, and Montana authorities issued an Amber Alert for 3 of those children this morning.
Police believe their non-custodial parents with a history of drugs and violence took the kids overnight in Great Falls, Montana. The Montana Department of Justice believes they have a history of drug use and violence. And officials at WSU say they plan to reflect on their alcohol policies following the death of a 19-year-old student at a frat house on Tuesday. Sam Martinez was pronounced dead Thursday morning. Police have said they believe alcohol was a factor. WSU believes a lot of kids enter college thinking that partying is a part of college life. Well, WSU said today all incoming students go through 3 mandatory alcohol and substance abuse training courses.
I think when people have misperceptions about what life in college is really about, it causes them to make decisions that are not good for themselves personally. And so it's important for us, for people to really understand what reality is like on a college campus, that the reality is very different than the perception.
Well, Pullman police are now in charge of the case because it happened off campus. The Pullman police chief did say that even though they don't believe it was hazing related, charges are still on the table for those involved. Coming up new at 5 o'clock tonight, our Taylor Vito will explain how police are trying to find a balance between holding people accountable and not discouraging people from reporting similar emergency situations. The defense in the murder trial for Freeman High School shooting suspect Caleb Sharp has submitted a motion for the judge to recuse himself from the rest of the case. A motion filed in Spokane County Superior Court earlier this month claims that Sharp's defense attorney filed a motion for recusal, claiming that Judge Michael Price can no longer appear impartial. The defense argued in that motion that Price showed that he wasn't impartial in a declination hearing in July when he ruled that Sharp will be tried as an adult. In other news, a 58-year-old geometry teacher faces felony harassment charges for threatening to kill students at Puyallup's Emerald Ridge High School. The Pierce County Sheriff's Department says she made the threat while on a phone with a caseworker Tuesday. Julie Hillen Jones was arrested Wednesday morning for the threats.
And saw on my news feed that there had been a threat of a mass shooting threat made against my school, or my son's school, by a teacher, and is radio silence from the school district. That is not okay.
That parent says that she's angry that she didn't get any notification from the Puyallup School District until well into the afternoon hour, right after the arrest. Washington State is now allowing a 3rd gender option on licenses. For people who do not identify as male or female, they can put an X as a gender. KREM 2 Shayna Waldtower explain how it works.
Yeah, it's official. You'll now have 3 options to choose from on your license: F, M, and now X. Back in 2018, the state added the X option to birth certificates, but now it's an option on driver's licenses.
This is something that I think is really important.
In August, the Washington Department of Licensing held 3 public hearings in Seattle, Olympia, and Spokane. The meetings gave people a chance to share how adding a non-binary designation could affect them. Those conversations led to statewide change. The department's website said accurate gender markers on such documents help residents of all genders access public spaces and resources and reduce the risk of violence, discrimination, and harassment. People who want to change their gender designation have 2 options. The first is to go to a driver's license office and fill out the change of sex form. The second way is to print and fill out the change of gender form online. Now, just like the male and female options, the X also falls in line with the Real ID Act that will go into effect in October of next year. In Spokane, Shayna Waldtower, KREM 2 News.
All right, to weather now. Tom, pretty nice day today. Rain, though, is heading our way for tomorrow.
Yeah, it was great to see the sunshine,
nice.
But increasing clouds right now. As a matter of fact, current temperature is 44 degrees as you take a live look at it. Lake Coeur d'Alene as well. Look at how calm the lake is right here. And you can see the windsock out off of Independence Point. Barely any wind blowing in there. And you can see out at our airport, wind out of the northeast at about 3 miles an hour. 44 degrees. Again, we're seeing more cloud cover beginning to roll in. We'll look for cloudy skies, patchy fog forming overnight with a low of about 36. So we'll keep it above freezing tomorrow. 46 the expected high. Morning fog, and look for rain to move in either late in the morning hours or into the afternoon hours. Remember, I always look ahead to the weekend. I've got Saturday at mostly cloudy and a little bit of morning fog. We should get up to about 48. Sunday's warmer, high of 52, but we could see a few showers develop. We might see some of that rain stick around for part of Monday as well. We'll talk more about that with your 7-day forecast coming right up.
All in all, not a bad November weekend.
I think so. Good.
Tom, thank you very much. Shots were fired this morning at a high school north of Los Angeles. At least 2 students were killed, and the suspected gunman is in grave condition after turning the gun on himself.
I wasn't expecting this today. I never got to say goodbye to my parents this morning.
Students filed out of Saugus High School with their hands in the air after gunshots rang out on the Santa Clarita campus. In the minutes after the shooting, students were treated in the school's courtyard while the campus was evacuated. Witnesses near the school were shocked at what they saw.
I was coming out of my house to go get my coffee, and I saw all kinds of kids running up the street, screaming, crying, yelling.
Well, the 16-year-old suspect's .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol was found at the scene with no rounds left in it. He is now in the hospital, again in grave condition.
And customers returned to that East El Paso Walmart after a deadly shooting happened there in August. Dozens of sheriff deputies, security guards, and store employees stood at the entrance. About 50 shoppers lined up early this morning to enter the now renovated Walmart. Many customers took a moment to pray for the victims who lost their lives.
With all the police presence and all, it helps, but still it's going to be an ugly feeling to walking into somewhere. You're going to know all the time that people were massacred there.
Walmart did not have a guard in the store on the day of the mass shooting, and since then the store has hired off-duty officers to work at all of its area stores. The hiring comes after ongoing lawsuits over store safety. There is new evidence in the Kelsey Barrett murder trial in Colorado. Her fiancé, Patrick Frazee, is on trial for her murder. An expert witness testified a tooth found near a burned area on Frazee's property is human. However, the witness says there is not enough DNA to determine who it belonged to. Barrett grew up in eastern Washington. Frazee pleaded not guilty. If convicted, he faces life in prison.
This won't be easy, and it shouldn't be, but I'm placing my faith in the people who feel left out and left back.
Former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick is joining the 2020 presidential race. He made the announcement today on social media. Patrick made the late bid in New Hampshire. He was the first black governor in Massachusetts and remains a prominent member of the Democratic Party.
He also was a CBS News contributor since September, but the network announced Patrick will no longer serve in that role. He has close connections to former President Barack Obama and his team.
LASIK eye surgery is a popular fix for poor eyesight, and for most, it works.
But there have been complaints, and even a retired FDA advisor who voted in favor of LASIK surgery is now going back on that decision.
Essentially, we ignored the data on vision distortions that persisted for years.
An estimated 20 million people have had the procedure since 1998. An FDA patient survey shows 95% of patients were happy with the results. Still, the FDA's website is filled with complaints about serious complications.
And from day one, my vision was an absolute train wreck, and it still is today. You really have to understand you're risking your only pair of eyes.
Well, doctors say the surgery can be risky for people with different shaped corneas, those with diabetes or autoimmune disorders, and they encourage patients to get pre-screened.
Good information there.